So the CDC had to have a very, very uncomfortable news conference today, and Rochelle Walensky was out here dropping red pills that hopefully will reach the mainstream because, yeah, they had some very uncomfortable truths that they needed to disseminate to the public, but let's see how they resonated, I guess. But I'm going to give you the fucking facts because, yeah, I'm following this shit closely as a motherfucker, and, yeah, we're talking about specifically about the PCR tests, at least in this article. We got a whole host of other information as well, but PCR tests can remain positive for up to 12 weeks. Yeah, that's not just the test itself, okay? Even if it gets kept in perfect conditions, okay? Yeah, the polymer that's on the fucking test itself, yeah, it is still going to be positive, obviously, okay? But, yeah, even if you've recovered, you can still test, you can still fucking get a positive result on one of these PCR tests. Just once again showing you that maybe all of these numbers need a little bit more of a delving into, and I'd imagine this is probably going to be one of those things that comes up years and years down the fucking line, but boy, this is gonna be, and it has been for the longest fucking time. This is one of the biggest tragedies, not for the reason that they're reporting, of our fucking generation. One reason for not recommending officials require COVID-19 testing at the end of the revised shortened isolation period, is because polymerase chain reaction PCR tests can stay positive for up to 3 months after one contracts the illness. Yep, so if you catch the coof, you can still be popping on some of these tests. Fucking weird, right? The CDC cut recommendations this week, Monday, right? I think we talked about that. Of the people who contract the coof, the disease caused by the China virus, the agency also removed the testing requirements for leaving isolation. Yep, the CDC doesn't set the policy, but its guidelines are widely adopted. Eventually, they just float something out there, but whether they get taken seriously is a debatable topic. Ending isolation of COVID cases in 5 days without testing negative is a nose out of mask of COVID-19 policies, Dr. Big Sad Omer, director of Yale University's Institute of Global Health, said on social media. Yeah, just fucking stay at home, stupid. That dude's really living up to his fucking given name. But not including a testing requirement, there will be a lot of infectious people in the workforce transmitting the virus to others, further increasing the public health risk and likely economic disruptions. Two things in your statement there, okay? How dangerous and how deadly is a virus where you could test positive for it, feel totally fine, and be like LeBron James, who I'm just going to use as an example, not as some sort of authority on being a good person, because he's a hunk of shit. Anyways, but yeah, no, he ended up popping a positive PCR test, okay, after he was all jabbed up and all that fucking fun stuff. Yeah, and he had to sit out a game. And then he took another test after he realized that, yeah, I'm not really exhibiting any symptoms or anything like that, and I feel really good. Taking another test and realizing that, oh no, yeah, no, you're good to go. How are we supposed to take seriously a fucking deadly world-ending virus if at the end of the fucking day these motherfuckers are out here and you can barely tell the fucking difference, okay? Whether you're infected or whether you're not, okay? And I know people who caught a bad case of this coof, okay? I happen to be one of the people who caught it and didn't really exhibit any sort of incredible symptoms. And if we're all worried about Omicron shit, what is the most prevalent symptom that tends to manifest after a couple of days? A runny motherfucking nose, maybe an itchy throat, maybe a little bit of a fever, okay, a little bit of fatigue, maybe. And that's what we're shutting the world down for, okay? And then this motherfucker's pretending to care about economic disruptions. No, having these incredibly long self-quarantine periods, okay, telling motherfuckers that they need to stay home for 2 weeks at a fucking time because you feel a little bit ill without pay in some situations, that's an economic disruption. But instead, you know what, if you're starting to feel bad, okay, if you feel bad, you stay home for the 2 days after you pop positive, and then the 3 days after you manifest some symptoms, and then after that, you're probably about good to go, because I couldn't imagine, okay, because thankfully, whenever I get sick with something, I tend not to manifest too terrible of symptoms. And again, I'll touch wood once again because I'm not trying to test fate here or anything like that. But when it comes to sick days, when I was at a traditional job before I got customarily tossed out, I never, ever, ever called in sick. It was just not something that I did. Okay, I could plow through it mostly because symptoms of whatever I caught, it wouldn't really manifest outside of the time that I, ascended into the double digits of age. It was just like not a fucking problem. Maybe I'm one of those one-offs, okay? Maybe I'm a different type of breed. Who fucking knows? Maybe I take care of myself. Maybe I eat correctly. Maybe I exercise regularly. Who knows? It's one of those, high thresholds, and, you can't hold people to standards anymore. Whatever. Dr. Rochelle Walensky, head of the CDC, responded to critics during a December 29th briefing. The shortened time period, she said, was due to the studies demonstrating that people are most infectious after getting the coof during the 2 days before symptoms develop and the 3 days after they develop. Isn't that something that we should have known, like, really early in this? Like, okay, because we're just dealing with different variants at this point, right? And what's a variant? Well, it's not really a different disease. It's just one different little branch, one just little chain that's different, okay, in the genetic makeup of the virus. So it's something that we've probably known for a while, but now you're finally starting to act on it because this shit is so fucking mild now at this point. But whatever, more about this article. CDC did not respond to requests for the studies that were referenced, but yeah, after 5 days, the risk of ongoing transmission substantially decreases, she added, citing more sources by CDC sources, and we don't need to publish those because you're on a need-to-know basis, and fuck off. The lack of a testing piece, the CDC director continued, stems from the PCR test potentially coming back positive months after people initially get the coof. And that's why I'm just theorizing, okay? You know what? These people are coming out here getting jabbed, okay? And then, you're all good to go, right? You're doing your part. It's safe and effective. And then all these breakthrough cases of people with like mild symptoms, they're like, what the fuck? I tested positive. I don't feel like it. Okay, but yeah, if they caught a case of it and then they ended up getting double jabbed up, okay, there's still that time period there where if, they get in close contact and they get sent for testing, there's a good chance that you're still going to end up testing positive. So, what are we doing here? What the fuck are we doing here? We know the PCR testing would not be helpful in this setting, as people can remain PCR positive for up to 12 weeks after infection and long after they are transmissible and infectious. Yeah, 12 weeks. After that 5 fucking days. Okay, yeah, whatever. She said antigen tests, which yield results sooner, but are widely known to be less reliable than PCR tests. Wow, it's like having a mesh condom. It's less reliable than the one made out of saran wrap. May not give a good indication of transmissibility at this stage of infection, Walensky added. Health officials have also pointed to the dominance of the Omicron variant. But again, how do you test for variants in a lab? How many of these tests actually take place in a lab? Not enough to know if it's really the prevalent variant that's out there. But more on that in a moment. The purpose of it was given the wave of extraordinary, unprecedented wave, and we are experiencing now, and we'll experience it more in the next few weeks. There's a danger there will be so many people, we're going to be isolated, who are asymptomatic for the full 10 days, that you could have a major negative impact on the ability to keep society running. No shit. Thanks, Dr. Fauci, but we'll be talking about him in the next couple of days, because more information about how that motherfucker is set up for life, that shit's coming out. But anyways, more on what the CDC director had to admit today, because boy, this one sucks. I guess she tried to release this information hopefully when nobody's paying attention, close to the end of the year. Yeah, hopefully you guys are just prepping for New Year's Eve celebrations. Oh yeah, they'll be great. Let's just dig into the dirt on this one. Many children hospitalized with COVID-19. Oh my god, this pandemic, and there's so many cases out there, what are we gonna do? Are admitted for another reason. Oh fuck. It's something we've known for a very, very, very long time, that this coof right here, yeah, it don't hit kids very hard. That's not something that's been terribly disputed. Okay, it's one of those things that now, since, we need to protect your kids, kids 5 years old and up need to get jabbed, and If they can do it sooner, we'll just try to pass it through. We'll try to give it the rubber stamp. We'll just try to get the emergency use authorizations out there to keep your kids safe who manifest symptoms of severity at such a minuscule rate. It makes this seem like even more of a farce. Are their kids dropping with the coof? Yeah, but are they dropping because of the coof? Well, now you take a look at the kids who are hospitalized with it. They're not even there because of it. What the fuck are we doing anymore? She says the number of hospitalizations for children with the coof has increased in recent days, but she pointed out that many of them are not related to the virus. Many of them are actually coming in for another reason, but they happen to be tested. Now, when they come in, they found to incidentally have COVID. Could it have to do with some of those PCR tests where it's like, oh yeah, were you sick? Well, do you remember having a scratchy throat, or do you remember being maybe a little bit tired? Okay, not that you stayed up late playing video games or playing Fortnite with your friends, but maybe, a little bit tired for a few days in a row. Okay, I know that you just had Christmas vacation and maybe you're staying up late outside of your normal sleeping pattern. Are you sure? Okay, because you just tested positive. So, okay, cool. We'll just go ahead and try to take another test. Maybe it's just a false positive. Who fucking knows at this point? But yeah, most of the kids who are just coming in with broken legs, it's like, oh yeah, you're really sick and we need to take this seriously. Another one of those uncomfortable truths that Walensky had to admit today. Walensky also noted that the high number of child hospitalizations is common for this time of year. Wow. It's almost like it's one of those things that just go with me on this one. This might sound a little conspiratorial, right? There was like a certain season, okay, this time of year about 2 years ago that people would be made aware of, and we'd all know that, yeah, there were certain illnesses when more people had to, stay outside of the cold, okay, they need to be inside more around a bunch of people where ventilation's not as good as being outside, and that there's less sun in the sky and fewer UV rays coming down in order to disinfect things that are in the air. It's just weird how we used to, be cognizant of that type of season this time of year, but I don't know. That's maybe one of those relics from the past, and maybe I'm just making all that stuff up. I don't really know, but she seems to be onto something because we have 2 years of fucking data on this shit, so none of this stuff should be fucking shocking. Adding that children more often don't require intensive care unit treatment. No shit. You can probably count those kids on one fucking hand. Towards the end of the segment, Walensky said the children who are eligible should receive vaccinations, even though they aren't going to hospital. Okay, most of them don't even know that they fucking have it. But yeah, make sure you go out there and get the jab, right? It's winter, and this is a winter virus. Oh no, this doctor's about to lose his PhD. And this Omicron is particularly contagious. How do we know? That's what the doctors say. That's what everybody's telling us, right? So you think we're going to see an increase anyway. Dr. Offit, a vaccine expert at Children's Hospital in Philadelphia, told Today earlier this week. Offit similarly noted that many children have tested positive for the coof without showing any symptoms. Very dangerous. Very dangerous. We test anybody who's admitted to the hospital for whatever reason we see or not. They have COVID, and we've definitely seeing an increase in cases. However, we're really not seeing an increase in children who are hospitalized for COVID in the intensive care unit for the coof. Okay, cool. So yeah, a very dangerous disease that you don't even know that you have. Cool. So again, how about we start running back these numbers? Another and the final uncomfortable truth that the CDC had to come forward with. They had to revise the amount of Omicron cases that were out there. Yep, we're back in this part of the cycle once again. It was like at the same time early in the pandemic out there where, people were dropping left, right, and center, and then more information about these people who were falling off started to come out, and it's like, wow, a lot of these are centered in nursing homes. A lot of these people who were dropping dead are like 75, 80, 90 years old. Oh, and then there's one guy. Oh, wow, he was relatively young and relatively adventurous, and he died of the coof. Oh, but he also crashed his motorcycle. Oh, okay. Oh, no, and then there was a big, strapping, tall black guy in Minneapolis who died with the coof as well, and except for that little minor detail of having a knee on his neck for like 9 minutes. It's fucking weird how that shit happened. And now we're back at that situation where we're having to go back and take a look at the numbers and realize that some of these trumped up numbers are a bit of a sham. Weird. Not the pandemic, though. This is a very serious virus. I'm just saying that their bookkeeping, it's not really on the up and up. The CDC had to drastically reduce its estimates of Omicron cases because doing the actual testing itself has to be done in a lab. It's not done by these PCR tests. It's not done by any of these other rapid tests that are out there. You have to specifically look at the genes and see if you can compare the structure of it to figure out the variant. Okay, it's not something that just magically fucking appears. So yeah, they had to change their estimate, saying the variant accounted for about 59% of the COVID cases as of Christmas, a massive drop from the 73% previously reported. Yeah, about 14%. Why the change? CDC also significantly lowered its estimate for the week before Christmas, saying that the variant accounted for just 22.5% of all infections as of December 18th. Public Health Agency previously estimated that Omicron accounted for 73.2% of cases that week. Over 50 points. Okay, cool. This means the Delta strain could still actually be behind many of the current COVID hospitalizations. Remember Delta? It was still scary, and yeah, you should still be scared of that one, right? No, where's everybody going? Why are you waking up? Why are you starting to realize that maybe this isn't as fucking severe as we're trying to make it out to be? More at 11. Setting aside the question of how the initial estimate was so inaccurate, the CDC's new estimate of Omicron prevalence is precise in that it suggests that a good portion of the current hospitalizations we're seeing from COVID may still be driven by Delta infections. The CDC blamed the disparity on the rate in which the highly transmissible variant spreads. Yeah, do we even know if it's highly transmissible at this point? Is one of those things where it's like we're told by it, but the CDC doesn't want to publish any of their findings, so we just have to believe them. But then they just had to revise the cases that they're trying to scare everybody with, so why would I take you seriously anymore? Yeah, this is really starting to lose steam, and now they're trying to circle back around fucking pimping out the Delta once again. Go fuck your mother. It looks like we're going to be ringing in 2022 on quite a bit of a high note, because even if the CDC knows it's time to give up the ghost, you should probably fucking do that. But now, finally, I get to talk about some new content, and it's enough running back these fucking stories, because thanks to my the revised setup for the minute until my new parts show up for my old fucking recording rig, I don't have to be walking this shit back once again. Happy to do that. And unfortunately, yeah, we got to talk about something that isn't that bright and isn't that light. Because yeah, fucking football world lost a real one. We'll talk about that soon. With that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.